Hello everyone, Firemac here. I'm just here to talk about a little bit about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the new details that came out from the PlayStation Experience 2015. I don't have too much to say, but I really want to talk about this topic because Final Fantasy is something very near and dear to me. Final Fantasy VII was my first Final Fantasy, but let me just reiterate, well not reiterate, let me just tell everybody right now that Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite Final Fantasy. That is actually Final Fantasy VIII, but that's another topic for another time. Final Fantasy VII is definitely a huge Final Fantasy. Everyone's been wanting this game for a long time. So hearing about the remake, it was great. I mean, we all got excited for it at E3, but more details are starting to come out and some troubling matters are coming about. So I wanted to talk about that. What we know so far from the trailer, the new trailer, where we got to see Barrett and Cloud talking and all that. So we got to see the story. There's obvious signs that they're changing the dialogue. I mean, what else did you expect? Did you expect them to keep the dialogue from the PlayStation version? I mean, I didn't expect that at all. So I'm actually very happy with what they're doing with the story there. They're definitely making things bigger. We're definitely getting more details into the story. And heck, even Biggs and Wedge and all of them, they're actually getting more dialogue themselves. And I'm really excited for that. So we're actually probably going to care a lot more when they die. Oh, spoiler alert, they die. The story looks fantastic. That's not my issue here. The issue here is with all the other changes they're doing. They decided, from the very little bit we've seen, they decided this is going to be an action RPG. Which is going to miff some of you, I know. Myself included. There's nothing wrong with turn-based combat, especially in this day and age. In fact, there's too little of it nowadays. Which is kind of disheartening. There's nothing wrong with turn-based combat. I mean, I know for some people that's like a deal breaker if it's got turn-based combat and they cannot play it. The idea that the combat system is completely different makes you wonder what they're going to do with the materia system. Like, how's that going to work? The combat is a whole mystery right now. We just know that it's action-oriented, and it's definitely got that Nomura touch on it. You can see the Final Fantasy 15 in there. You can see the Kingdom Hearts in there. It's definitely action-oriented in the style of Nomura. I'm not worried about the action being any good. Like, I feel like that's going to be done pretty well, I think. But it's a big departure from what this game was supposed to be. You know, this is supposed to be a remake. From what I understand is that this game is supposed to be a grand scale game, but they're just trying to update the graphics, which is a huge deal because you pretty much have to remake all the graphics to do this. So with that in mind, that they have to make new assets for pretty much the entire game. They're pretty much redoing the entire game from scratch. Like, there's not much for them to really draw from in the original code. This is just literally like a new game completely. Like, I really hesitate to call it a remake anymore. It's more like a reimagining in a way. But that's the problem here. That this is not really the old game at all. It's just basically Final Fantasy VII in spirit. We know the story, we know how it ends, but that's about it. That's all we know about how this game's going to play. And in interviews and questions they've given Nomura and the team, they're saying they're going to cut out content regardless. I haven't touched on before I go any further, I haven't touched on a very big topic here, that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be episodic. That is the biggest disappointment here. Their reason to make this episodic is because it's such a grand scale game. They want to take what this game was on the PS1 and make it worthy at the same size on PS4 and, well, the new systems, whatever. But in order for them to do that, they would have to, if they wanted to make this all in one game, they would have to condense a lot of the game into one, because they don't have the time and resources to actually recreate every little detail of the original game in the new version. So in order to not let that happen, they're breaking up the game in multiple parts. So knowing that, I kind of puts me on ease a little bit, but still, they still say they're gonna cut content out, which makes me wonder, like, we're probably, all the little side stories, like all the side quests and all that, we're probably not gonna see a lot of that. I'm actually kind of worried that we're not gonna see the whole Cloud cross-dressing section. If they sacrifice that, I'm sure that's gonna cause a lot of stir too, because everyone's been waiting to see the hilarity of that in PS4 graphics. So anyway, yeah, they're cutting content, but they're also gonna add a lot of more content in there. They say we're gonna be able to explore a lot more of Midgar. So I pretty much expect the first game to just be nothing but Midgar. Like, it's probably just gonna cover that first 5 to 6 hours of the game the Final Fantasy VII in Midgar. It's probably going to end when they escape Midgar. That's my guess. But it just makes me wonder how many more parts there's going to be. Is like after Midgar, how far is that game going to take us? Is it going to take us all the way up until the point that Cloud loses his shit? Like, will that be the second game's ending? And then will the third game be the rest of the game? I know a lot of people are worried, I'm myself included, but I believe this game can be very good. The biggest thing that we all have to accept, and I know for a lot of you it's you can't. I'm sure a lot of you are just hating it right now. That this game, it's impossible for this game, for them to give us the entire thing in one game. Basically, if they made the entire game in one go, it would be another Final Fantasy 15 issue. It would be a decade-long freaking development cycle. And I think they definitely want to avoid that as much as they can. So in some ways, I understand why they're doing this, but in many ways, it really hurts me as a huge Final Fantasy fan why they're doing this. I can learn to accept it, but it really does hurt me. Because like I said, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I love every Final Fantasy game, and I hope to one day tell you guys how much I love Final Fantasy in future videos. So let me just run through everything. I'm okay with the action combat. It's just very sad that it's no longer turn-based. I kind of hope they, in some way, implement a turn-based combat, like unlock a special, maybe DLC. I don't care how they implement it. I just want them at some point to maybe implement turn-based combat. I really want turn-based combat. But I'm okay with the action combat. There's nothing wrong with it. I like the story. I like what they're doing with the story. I'm very excited to see all the great events of the original Final Fantasy VII in new light. And as for the episodic thing, it hurts. It really hurts. It makes me sad. But I think I can learn to accept it. And I hope to you guys who are watching this that you can learn to accept it and play this game for what it's worth. Because I really do think this is going to be a fantastic game. It's just not going to be the same game we all think it's going to be. It's not going to be just Final Fantasy VII with HD graphics. It's unfortunately not that. It's just basically Final Fantasy VII, the story, in HD. That's basically what this is. And it's going to get broken up, and it's going to have new content, some content being cut. It's basically a new game. That's the biggest thing with this. And a lot of us need to live with that. And I hope you guys, you fellow Final Fantasy fans out there, are ready to get these games and play them. I guess like the final thing is, before I finish here, is the release date. If they're breaking it up so it doesn't take forever, so we should get this first Final Fantasy VII Remake game within the year, right? I would hope so. So I want to say that we might get this game at least towards the end of 2016. Either late 2016 or early 2017. I believe that's when we're going to get this game, if they're going to do that. That's pretty much, I just wanted to talk about that, because this Final Fantasy is definitely something close to my heart here. And I just really wanted to explain my feelings on this. Let's hope for the best for Final Fantasy, and hopefully Square Enix doesn't mess things up too much. So anyway, this is Firemac saying bye bye, guys.